Well, let's get into these hot topics.
Lies, shenanigans.
All right, get this up. So the banks are failing. The banks are failing. Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank both failed last week. For the first time, well, first, let me give you banking for dummies. Contrary to some
Oh
beliefs,
boy.
banks don't just hold hundreds of billions of dollars of people's money in vaults somewhere. You know, a lot of people think you have these big vaults and that's where all your money's being kept. But what the banks
No.
do is they take your money, they invest it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sure, they keep a little cash on hand for withdrawals, but most of the money goes to buying relatively safe investments like government treasury bills, or they take your money and give it to somebody trying to buy a car or a house. You might remember the housing crash in 2008 where banks were giving out money all willy-nilly to anyone who wanted it, even if they couldn't afford it, to actually pay it back. Now, that was different. In this case, money is really, really tight because the Fed raised interest rates a lot. And that was because of inflation. Everything was costing more, so raising interest rates makes money harder to get, which reduces demand for some things, like houses and cars. But it was a perfect storm for a bank that might have been on the edge, wobbling, and easy to be pushed off the edge. So here's what happened with Silicon Valley Bank. Silicon Valley was the problem. There's been massive layoffs from Twitter, Facebook, aka Meta, Amazon, more, lots more. And when the word had gotten out that Silicon Valley was teetering and their stocks started to fall, all those rich Silicon Valley billionaires started taking out all their money all at once. Now, like I said, money's tied up in investments. So when people try to take money out in the billions, the bank has to sell off all its investments, as many as it can. And Silicon Valley Bank just didn't have enough that they could sell off, at least
And
not
they
quickly
took a
enough.
Bath
Not
selling off their they're selling off the savings bonds.
They
They
were
lost $2
selling
billion.
everything. Yeah, because
Yep.
it costs, because they sell it off at a discount. So they lose
Yeah.
money there.
Right.
So, and then the second bank ran into the similar problem, but that was driven by social media. And then people telling you, oh, the banks are failing, take all your money out now. And so Signature Bank pretty much failed because of that. So my question to you guys, with all these problems with the banks, are banks safe in general, or should we switch to keeping cash under the mattress? Or is Bitcoin and cryptocurrency the future of money? Let's start with Robbie.
The old sturdy
All
mattress.
right. Well, let's just say that banks are still giving out money willy-nilly, that they're still lending money to
True.
people, to risky ventures. So that's a big part of the problem. It's still too easy to borrow money for high-risk people. But keeping your money in a financial institution rather than your home is still safer, especially when the account is insured. So that is the crux of it. The people who lost the most money are people who have uninsured deposits. But typically, I know in these scenarios, they get nearly half of their money back, or nearly all of their money back. Sorry. But
Yikes.
Well,
we're talking about these two.
The
We're talking
maximum
about
the
these
federal
two banks in the
government insures
States.
is 250. I just want to.
Yeah. I think that Bitcoin lacks regulation, and until it has proper regulation, it isn't a real contender to replace cash hard money yet. But I think that's the way we will eventually go. For those of you who are keeping an eye on things globally, check out what's happening with Crédit Suisse, the
Oh, I heard about that.
167-year-old bank. They're the second largest lender in Switzerland. So if they
Wow.
teeter, we're talking about global ramifications. Global.
Wow.
So there's a lot going on for sure. So I don't know
Are
what the
they
future
kind
lies for money.
Are you saying that bank in Switzerland is kind of like teetering a little bit, or you're saying if it teeters, like if it goes
No,
over?
it's
They
teetering.
are teetering. Yeah, they are teetering. They had to secure loans. They had to basically
Okay.
their stocks tanked, and now they're just trying to buy back some of their own debt. They've got other lenders and other interested parties making sure that they don't dip.
And,
Yeah.
and there's nobody insuring the national banks, whereas the World Bank kind of backing them up.
Uh,
Good
Yeah,
question.
I'm not an economist, so
Come on,
I don't have an answer for you. I don't.
What do you
Just curious if you
I,
did. All right. So, Gianni, what are your thoughts? Let me ask your thoughts. Before
No,
get
I
into it.
mean, the economy and the financial institutes are so complicated that I don't have too much knowledge or information, but I do know we've seen a recession before in 2008. I was about
Yeah.
10, 11 years old. I don't remember. And I remember that they were saying that it was going to be the worst thing ever, and it did impact us for some years. But I think that the way that this recession is going to impact us is going to put us, and to answer Neo's question, is going to push us to a digital currency because we're already on the tip of digital currency. We already use Bitcoins and those type of coins. So I think that it's not too far-fetched to, in a few years, that's not maybe one of the main forms of currency is digital currency. But also too, like things that we can do, I've been researching it. We need to maybe cut back expenses. We do need some cash on hand, but they don't recommend taking all of your cash out the banks
Yeah.
because you kind of need it. But keep some cash on hand. It wouldn't, if you have the money, invest in some gold and silver coins, things like that, stock up. It's not funny, it's true.
Yeah.
These are really important things, but the old-fashioned way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So
as far
what did cause the bank run? What caused that specific bank run exactly, like that day or that week?
the
What
stock,
caused people
their
to
stock slid.
Neo explained it in the preamble. It was basically like 8 steps to
Yep.
to chaos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
But
was a process for it to happen.
yeah, 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 yeah. You know, people just started pulling their money out, and then their stock went. I mean, their stock went down, and people started pulling their money out, and they couldn't afford to pay their debts. But
Yeah.
um, my thoughts are, I mean, this, and I know we're out of time, but you know, we we shouldn't really worry too much about the banks. Um, especially American banks. I mean, once they start going global, then sure we may have to worry. But the U.S. banks are insured up to $250,000, and I think most of us can afford. Most of us aren't keeping more than $250,000 in the bank. So if something does happen to one of the banks, most of us will get our money back one way or another. As a matter of fact, these Silicon Valley people didn't actually lose their money yet because the federal government stepped
Right.
in and took over the bank. So they're still in good shape. They haven't really lost any money yet. But if it does happen, and if it's a lot of banks, the federal government can't prop up all the banks like they're doing with Silicon Valley. So it will have a huge ripple effect, particularly on businesses. If they just start, if their money's lost, and if they chose a bank like Silicon Valley, and they just didn't have access to any of their money or in their funds to be able to do transactions, then they fall apart. So then all of our businesses fall apart, and it's going to be a domino effect across the world, not just the United States. So anyway, keep your money in banks, people, and start collecting cryptocurrency. And I love the the comment online from Sherry Blaine Savory. I think we should diversify. Keep your money in more than one financial institution.
Yeah.
Not only
Yes.
that,
Yep.
diversify in different investments. Don't just invest in one place. Don't put all your money into stocks. Don't put all your money into treasury bills. Don't put all your money into banks. Keep some money under the the mattress. Why not? I'm not literally under the
Because
mattress,
it's
but
that diversification that helps you weather the storm, because where some
Exactly.
segments of the market are losing traditionally in a bear market or in a bear economy, then other segments are doing well, and vice versa. So if you are well diversified, then you might not be making money, but at least you can weather the storm.
And last comment, Jacqueline Robinson, a run on the banks is not good for the economy. One billionaire caused a furor on Twitter, and smaller depositors were nearly left out in the cold. Thankfully, the FDIC stepped in so that regular depositors had access to their funds. Yeah. Billionaires get scared, and then everything goes to shit.
Yep.
Who cares about the billionaires' money? No, I'm just kidding.
Nothing we have to deal with.
Some of those billionaires keep our country running. All right, Gianni Storm. Oh wait. Is this truth, lies, shenanigans? Can't forget this part.
Well, this is This is true. This truly. Oh, Rob, you think it's shenanigans?
I'm going with truth.
It's truth, but it's based out of shenanigans because they're not being
yeah.
fiscally prudent. They're using
Fear factor. We're talking about people getting scared. They're scared of
It's true.
scared of
Exactly.
snakes. They want to jump in the in the thing of snakes.
They got nervous.